What is up, everyone? I wanted to bring you a video today for any new player out there that's wondering what kind of different modes there actually are in Legends of Runeterra. So if you are very familiar with the modes, this might not be the best video for you, but if you are new to the game and you're wondering what different ways can you use your cards or play this beautiful game, this video should cover just about all of them. So when you boot up the game, this will be your main screen here. You'll have some crazy amazing art. You'll have everything else on the side, and then on the right side you'll have a Play Path to Champions, which we'll get into in a second, and your weekly vault. Well, under the left side, under Play, is where you will find the various different modes that you can actually play. So first off, the first one is Against Other Players. Now this will be built with a deck that you have made. As you see, I have multiple decks here. When you click on the deck that you want to play, you will see Ranked and Normal. So normal, you will just play a game against any other player that's pairing for a normal game, and you'll then play your game. Ranked, you will then be able to play ranked and climb up from iron, bronze, silver, etc., all the way up to masters, and you'll be able to play that way. So that is the first and main way to play Legends of Runeterra. Against other people, it's a 1v1 card game. Of course, that makes sense. If you are not ready and you're a newer player and you're not ready to go against other people, even in normals or ranked, you can hop on over to Verse AI. This will be a pre-built deck that the opponent will be using. That will be a particular AI, and you can test your different decks that you have. You'll see in the Verse Player and Verse AI menu, it'll be the same different decks, and these are decks that you've made under the Collection tab on the left. These will be, again, just against AI, but you can get various experience bonuses as you play these games as well for the first few a day. Great way to learn a new deck, try a new deck, and also just learn some mechanics if you're playing as a new player. The opponent, as the AI, will play his turns very quickly because it is an AI, it'll automatically go, in which case you can get more games in, you can test out different things. So pretty useful tool here. Below that are expeditions. Expeditions are a draft mode. Essentially, you get to embark on a draft. You'll get to draft an entire deck made around pre-built 2 to 3 card bundles as you go and swap things out. But unfortunately, Expeditions is coming to a close very soon. It just doesn't have the amount of players that they were wishing it did, so they do want to look at draft again and give like a good draft experience, but that will not be for a little bit now. So if you were watching this video when it's coming out in February of 2022, you might be able to play Expeditions for another month or so, but after that, Expeditions will go away and we'll wait for a future draft mode to come into the game. It is still an extremely fun draft mode. They just have so much that they offer that it's kind of fallen to the wayside. But if you are a really big fan of draft, and this is, again, player versus player, so if you're a fan of that, definitely check out Expeditions. Up next is one of the first things you should do as a new player. This is all of the different challenges. They just give you a quick 100 XP, but they'll teach you some new mechanics. So anytime a new set comes out, they typically will try to add some things to this to teach you the new mechanics of that set. So as we go further down, you'll actually start to see Bandle City here, which is the newest set, and then even the most two recent ones, Stand Your Ground, Little Critters, Big Beast. That's based off Galio and the Formidable keyword, and Little Critters with Gnar and the Transformation archetype. So you'll see as you scroll through these, and you see I haven't done plenty of these because at this point I know what I'm doing, but they're great to do. And they'll teach you different things. And Cuddle Buddies is Yumi's newest release. She is the attached mechanic, so you can play that there. And they're great to do. So if a new mechanic comes out and you're confused, or say you play against a deep deck and you think, what did that do? You can go back to the Challenges tab. This will be a quick preset scenario against a bot that you'll get to try a new mechanic in, and it'll teach you that mechanic. Really great tool to have. I wish a lot of other games had this because it really just helps you say, okay, well, here's a new mechanic. Kind of seems weird on paper. I read it. I'm not sure exactly how it works. Well, this is exactly how it works. For the more competitive players out there, the next two tabs, Gauntlet and Tournament, are for you. Gauntlet works in a very unique way. So essentially, the quick version of how Gauntlet works is there will be a Gauntlet on every weekend. They run from Friday to Monday, and you can play in your Gauntlet. What you need to do is you have to bring 3 decks, and your opponent brings 3 decks. You'll get paired with a random opponent. You'll ban one of their decks. They'll ban one of your decks, and then you will have to win games with both of your other 2 decks in order to win that series for that Gauntlet. And that'll be 1 series. You have to win 4 series each Gauntlet to then get a reward, which I'll go over in a second. The deck restrictions are there. It's considered what we're calling Riot Lock. It's the tournament mode that Riot put out. So what it is you can't have, there's a few different weird stipulations, but mainly you can't have the same champion in any 2 different decks, and you can't have the same exact region combinations in any 2 decks. You can't have 2 decks that are both Freljord and Noxus, and you can't have Draven in 2 different decks or 3 different decks. There's a few other little stipulations, but that's the main core of the mode there. So you'll bring your 3 decks, you'll ban an opponent's deck, they'll ban one of your decks, and there'll be a whole ban phase, and that's all built into the game, so it's a beautiful way to actually experience a tournament in Legends of Runeterra. So once you get your 4 wins, you'll get something called a Prime Glory. Now this will reset each season. The season lasts about 2 months for Legends of Runeterra. That's about the same time where your rank will reset, which it'll go down about 2 ranks, so then you can climb back up. The reason you're getting Prime Glories is because the weekend before the seasonal tournament, again, every 2 months, it accepts 1,000+ players into the tournament, and you have to earn your spot. You can earn your spot by being in the tippy top of the ladder, the top 700 master players, or there'll be 324 slots open to Gauntlet players, which there'll be a last chance Gauntlet a week before the seasonal tournament. In the last chance Gauntlet, you have to win 5 games in a row, 5 series in a row, to then get into the last chance or the seasonal tournament. Each Prime Glory you get previously will count as a free win. You can get to a maximum of 4. So on that last chance Gauntlet qualifier weekend, you can simply play 1 series, win or lose, and you're in. You can do that again on the last chance Gauntlet weekend, which will be 1 week before the seasonal tournament. So if you're not a competitive player, this part of the video might not be as interesting, but if you have aspirations to make a tournament and you want to know what Gauntlet and tournament actually mean, this is what they mean. Gauntlets as well, you can just play for fun during the weekend. They're closed during the day. As you can see, I'm recording this on a Tuesday, so gates open in a couple days here. So, but you can essentially just jump into the Gauntlet and try anyway. It's a really fun mode to bring 3 decks and plan your strategies, ban particular decks, and try to win that way. If you lose a game or a series, you have another shot. You can go again. You're not one and done here, except on the last possible game to win. So every time you get a Gauntlet, the last game is win or lose, and it's done. You either get your Prime Glory or don't, or make it through the last chance Gauntlet or don't. But before that, you can lose a game or a series and try again. So that all leads to the tournament tab, which again, the tournament tab is just right now is showing you what the seasonal tournament will be for this season. A Curious Journey just came out, which is featuring Gnar, Yuumi, Galio, and Udyr. So this season just started. The tournament for this season will start in 52 days. Like we said, roughly 2 months. That will have a various assortment of prizes. It'll be 1,024 players that make the tournament, and you'll have the prizes of including $20,000 cash, $10,000 going to the winner, which is pretty huge, and that happens every 2 months. So these are these 4 or 6 different tabs here, but more particularly the Gauntlet Tournament are funneled into the competitive atmosphere, and that's what they are for. Ideally, we'll see expansions on different tournaments, but for right now, that's what those 2 tabs are for. The Labs tab is actually the most played tab in all of Legends of Runeterra right now, which makes me extremely proud. I absolutely love the Labs tab, and currently there is 1 lab going on. Previously, Labs would be a source where the designers can play around with different modes. They would try a bunch of different wonky modes, including a 2v2 game, so 2 players versus 2 other players, various other PvE or player versus environment modes, and just really wonky, crazy combos and crazy things happen in the lab. Currently, they have found a lot of success in just this 1 mode, so this is the only lab that's currently available, and it's also something that they plan to keep permanently. They have it in the labs, and labs are technically like a temporary zone where they can interchange some different things, but the Path of Champions has become so popular that they're determined to keep it into the game forever, and it will eventually move out of labs. That's why you can see when you're on the home screen, it's actually highlighted in the bottom right, right above my little face here. So that'll say the Path of Champions right there. So what Path of Champions is actually, if you're familiar with like a roguelike game or roguelike deck building game, for example, like Monster Train or Slay the Spire, essentially how it is you get to pick a champion, and we can hit play here. You'll get to pick a champion and run through these different zones. So as you click into Path of Champions, you will see various different champions that you can actually play as. You do have to own some of these champions to be able to play as them, but you only need to own 2 copies of them, which is relatively easy to do. This game is very free to play, and I have plenty of videos on the channel about just how free to play it is. But in this case, you have to play. You can play as these different champions. and you'll progress through a series of fights and a series of different runs, each being unique, to then level up your champion and get rewards. So currently I have Echo, you'll see at level 5, Jinx at level, or Vi at level 2, Jinx at level 3, etc. And I have Jace at level 18 because I love Jace. But what that does is they actually earn upgrades to their starting deck, equipment, and all these different assets. It's really cool. So here's Echo, and Echo has this table over here. So at first, you have to begin your adventure. You have to complete a thing, complete a run. After you do, and complete a run just means do a run, and then you'll get experience for every run you do. And depending on how well you do, you'll get more experience. But here you see, begin every adventure with studded leather. That means literally there'll be a studded leather +1/+1 card on Echo every time you play him, which is really great. Begin each adventure with gold. Gold can be used to purchase new cards for your deck, or remove cards, or purchase particular upgrades, and so on. You'll get rerolls. You'll get different relic items that you can attach to your character. So if we look at Jace, you'll see Jace actually has relic items on his card. Now, this isn't something that the normal Legends of Runeterra game does, but it's very cool because if you're a fan of League of Legends, you'll see that the first item I have is the Lost Chapter, and it's on Jace here, and it's giving him an effect, which is really cool. So there's the Lost Chapter, there's the Caulfield's Hammer, Guardian Angel, all these items from the game that you love, and they get to show you what they do. So Lost Chapter is good at refilling mana when you level up, so Lost Chapter in this is when I'm summoned, refill your spell mana. This is just a really cool way to do that. So if you would pick Jace and you would start an adventure, you would see I have these adventures completed, but you can actually journey around the region of Runeterra and see what I want to fight. I can go and fight this guy. I can go and fight Victor, or Victor at level 2, or Ezreal. Or if I go over to Bilgewater, I can do these different runs. And when you do a run, it'll have different mutators on it based on what this champion's about. So the foe's enemies have tough is what the this one says, which is Nautilus, so that makes sense, giving everybody tough, and etc. So all these different regions, so right now they only have Ionia, Piltover and Zaun, and Bilgewater accessible to go do adventures in. Obviously, we know there are so many more regions, and when you expand this whole map, you'll see a ton of them. And there's just so much possibility here that I could make 20 videos on this. But this is why this mode is the most popular. So also, if you are a player who doesn't have much of a collection, you can jump into this relatively right away, really, with certain champions, and as you unlock other champions, get to play it with those as well. But you do start with a handful of the base champions that are in this mode as you just start the game, like Yasuo, Zed, Jinx. They're all pretty basic champions that you can, and Teemo. You can get those very easily once you start the game. You can jump right in here, do these different runs, and you'll build your deck individually each run, and then after you finish that run, you can go again with a brand new deck and start over and build up from there as well. Each champion has their own playstyle and their own 7 different fights that they have to go through, all with altering difficulties as you go. Extremely fun mode. No surprise to me that it's the most played, and if you are a new player, I highly suggest jumping into this. It is essentially, if you like Slay the Spire or any game like that, it's a free version of that, and it's actually incredible, and it has a lot of room to grow. So I hope this video helped you and really showed you the different modes that you can play in Legends of Runeterra. If you weren't aware of any of them, I'm really happy to have showed them to you today. If you like the content, please leave a like, leave a comment, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel for a whole lot more coming up soon.